Good afternoon, everybody. I am Miss Chelsea and I am the FS2 year lead, and I'm here today to talk to you and to give you some tips for reading at home and how to support your child to develop their reading. So first of all, this is, as I said, this webinar is to give you an insight to reading in FS2. And as you know, we send home reading books for you to read at home, little reading books and then library books. So it's just to give you some tips that we do in school to help that reading process at home become a better journey for you. So reading requires two skills. So as you're all aware that we teach phonics in school, that is all about word recognition and be able to recognize in the letter sounds and being able to blend those sounds together. So reading really does consist of the segmenting of the words, so knowing the letter sounds and then blending those sounds together. And then the other skill is understanding. Do the children know what they have read? So they need to understand what they are reading. So understanding the meaning of words in sentences and text and understanding the pictures. Can they gather that information from the pictures that we're asking them to look at? So in school, we are taught a range of strategies that children can use to help them work out unknown words. So you all will be familiar with the robot arms, the children to use their robot arms to segment and then blend those words together. And we are consistently telling children to use their robot arms if they find a word tricky within their reading book. So that is of our phonics routine. And then we also encourage the children to look at the picture. I know some of you may think that that's cheating, but it's a really good way to for the children to develop their understanding skills and their inference skills to understand what is happening in the picture. Can they predict what is going on in the picture? Can they look at the characters? Can they name them? So we always encourage the children to use the picture as a clue, and then to predict what they think is going to happen, and then always by asking the children questions. Who is this? What are they doing? Why do you think he's sad? Why do you think he's happy? All those questions will support your child's reading at home. So in FS2, your child is sent home with a reading book, which is the smaller of the books, and then a library book. And it's really important for you to read and explore these books with your child. And we would like you to read your reading book every day if possible, and then your library book at least once a week. And then the reading book, as I said, is the smaller book, and your child is try and use their phonic knowledge to try and segment and blend the CVC. So that's the constant, vowel, consonant words. And then the library book is for you to read and share with your child. And it is really, really important. We're trying to, as we go into the second half of term 2, we really want to develop the children's reading skills, and reading at home plays a massive part of that. So if you can try and read with your child every day, and it doesn't have to be the whole book and can just be like 2 or 3 pages, but that little bit of reading has a massive impact on their reading skills. So here's just a quick picture of just to show you some stats of children who read every day, or read for 1 minute, read for 5 minutes, and read for 20 minutes. So students read for 1 minute a day, and they are exposed to 8,000 words. And by the time they reach year 6, they would have read for 42 hours. Student B reads for 5 minutes a day, and they will hear 282,000 words per year. And then student A reads for 20 minutes a day, and they are exposed to 1.8 million words before they reach year 6, which is a massive amount. So even if you just read for a short amount of time every day, it really does have a huge impact on your child's reading skills as they move throughout their schooling. So reading books, I'm just going to go through the different reading books that we send home. So first of all is our lilac books, and these are the books that we send home for the children to develop their comprehension skills. And when they are just starting to segment and blend, they're just starting to recognize their letter sounds. So you'll be able to see that there's no actual words written in the book other than a post-it note that your teacher would have placed in there. So this is a chance for you to talk about the story. What do you think? What does your child think is happening? Who are the characters? And so you can ask all those who, what, why, when questions when you're exploring these lilac books. And then you can have a go at reading the CVC words on the post-it notes. So you'd read the word red, and you'd encourage your child to go ed, red, and then you'd ask them, oh, what's red in the book, and see if they can point to the track tractor in the background, and then you can talk about the tractor. The same with mum. You'd ask them to use their robot arms, and say mum, and then you'd ask them to find where mum in the picture, and then you could then try and relate it back to you and be like, can you remember when we went to the farm? And you can have that conversation while you are reading, working your way through the book. So that's a lilac book. And then we go, once they've completed all the lilac books and we feel that they are ready to move on, they go on to a pink book. And in a pink book, it has more captions and more short sentences for your child to decode and use their phonic knowledge to read. So as you can see, these are simple sentences like, it is a pit. So they'd have to segment and blend each word. But then they are encouraged to reread that word, reread the sentence back from the beginning without segmenting or blending. So going, it is a pit, to improve their fluency. Again, so at this point, children can just be segmenting and they can just be blending, but always if they find it hard to hold the sentence, to read that whole sentence back, you can support them with that by saying, remember, it is a pit. So they are the pink books. And then we move on to the red books, and the red books, like the pink books, have sentences, but they tend to be longer and they tend to be about 2 sentences on the page. So again, this is encouraging the children to use their phonic knowledge to decode the words and then to hold on to a longer sentence and then reread that sentence again from the beginning. So those are the 3 sets of books that we are currently sending out in FS2. So the expectations in reading. So we have 4 must-dos within FS2. So the first one is children need to be listened to read on a daily basis. So as we say, try and read with your child every single day. Storytelling. So the children also need to be read to frequently. So in school, we always have a story at the end of the day. And I imagine most of the story at bedtime, which is really, really good to for the children to develop their imagination skills. And then we are also asking that children are to practice reading and writing their tricky words by sight. Now, just to recap, that the tricky words these are the words that they cannot use their phonic knowledge to decode. So like the word they can't go because when they blend it together, it doesn't blend to say it'd be to ha. So it doesn't make sense. So these words are words that they just need to know by sight rather than using their phonic knowledge. So they really do need to practice recognizing, so reading them and then writing them as well. And then the last one is just the children need to be encouraged to develop their comprehension skills by describing the main parts of the story, the character and the setting. So again, those are using the who, what, why questions. And at the end of once you've read your story, you can ask them, what happened in the story? Who were the characters? Where did they go? And so you can use all those questions to develop their comprehension skills, because it is really, really good if they can read, they can recognize all the letter sounds, they can read all their tricky words, and they can read all the high frequency words. But if they're not understanding what they're reading, then we will not be moving them up a level. They need to be able to understand and get those comprehension skills developed before we push them with their actual reading and moving up through the stages of the reading books. So before you start reading, rather than just going straight into just reading the book, we really do encourage you to talk about the story and look at the front cover and see if the children can predict what is going to happen in that story. So asking questions like, what do you think the story is about? Who do you think this person is? Can you remember who the character is if you've already read the story? So you can always do this every time just to refresh their memories and see if they can remember what they have read. And so it is really important to talk about the start of the story, the front cover of the story before going into actually reading. So during reading, it is important to let your child try and use their phonic knowledge and their decoding skills to read the words. And it can take time, and it can sometimes be quite frustrating for you as a parent to be listening to them and you're just like, oh, they know this, let me just tell them. You really do need to just take a step back and let your child have a go at trying to segment and blend those words. And if it means that you only end up reading 2 pages during your 10 minutes or your 15 minutes that you've given yourself to read the book, that's absolutely fine. But as long as the children are having a go and trying to use those segmenting and blending skills to read those words, that's brilliant. If they are struggling, encourage your child to sound out the words and to use their robot arms. We use our robot arms all the time in class, so they'll know what to do, and it just gives them a bit more of a movement and they match it to the word, tries to get that link to them so they can remember what they have read. And then we also remind the children to use their finger to track the word. So if they're getting stuck, tell them to point to the start of the letter, start of the word, and then see if they can sound it out. So go cat, cat. And then after your child has segmented each word, it's important to remind your child to reread the sentence to improve their fluency. So after they've segmented every single word on their page, they need to go back to the start and say a cat on a mat to improve that fluency and then to process what they have just read. And then as you work your way through the book, please continue to ask your child questions about the story. What do you think is going to happen next? How is Kipper feeling? Asking questions throughout the book will help support and develop your child's comprehension skills, and it'll make you realize if they understand what they have just read and whether they need a little bit more support in answering questions. You can go back to that page and be like, let's have a look at the picture. Let's see what's happening here. And so it is a really important skill that the children need to develop while they're reading. So just some reading tips now as we go forward. So just take your time with reading. As I said, it can be quite frustrating if the children are struggling, or if they're just saying, I can't do it, I can't do it. We want to encourage the children to have a love for reading. We don't want to make them frustrated, or we don't want to see them struggling. So if it means that they just need to read one page a day, that's absolutely fine. At least they are reading and exposing themselves to more words and practicing those skills. So take your time with the reading. You can read 2 pages, you can read the whole book. But please, if your child, or you just know it's not working for your child, do not make your child sit there and read the whole book if they're getting frustrated, or if you can just see it's not working. Do what is best for your child. And then if you need any extra support, please contact your class teacher, because they'll be able to give you some more tips, or they'll be able to give you more information about your child is reading in class and whether they're able to complete the whole book in one section, or if we have to break it down while we are in school. If your child is reluctant to read, take it in turns to read a page in the book. So you read a page, they read a page, you read a page, they read a page, and then you can slowly, as you go through the week, you can then start withdrawing the number of pages that you read, and then your child should hopefully then pick up the story and be able to read the book by themselves by the end of the week. And then you can also play a game of tricky word or initial letter hunt in the book. So can your child find the tricky word or the initial letters? Can they count how many have they found? Can they find some of the letters that match their name? Can they find the same letter that starts with their name? So all games like that just encourage them to look at the text and being able to find those words within the sentences that they're reading. So even though we say that we really want you to read the children's reading books every day, it doesn't have to be just the reading books. You can do other reading activities. So if you've read the book 3 times in the week and you just know that they've mastered it, their fluency is really well, and they're able to answer any comprehension questions, then you can do other reading activities to support and develop your child reading. So I'm just going to run through some other activities that you can do. So you can make these as if you've got all this stuff at home, but you can do words on cuts. Can they read the word to find the cut to match? So you could have a little piece of paper, have lots of circles and write some words in them, and then have a cut and then write the same word on the cut. The children can pick the cuts and they have to read the word the. Can they find that the on the mat? So you literally have to do a little matching activity. That is still reading. That's still developing, recognizing tricky words, recognizing high frequency words, or recognizing initial sounds. So you can mix and match to be what they do within that activity. Another one is doing reading fake or real words. The children have to decode the word and see if it is a real word, and then they have to sort the words into real or fake words. So it could be a word like cat, and then it could be a word like vog, which isn't a real word. So they'll be like, that's a silly word, that's not real. And you'll be like, are you sure? And then you can sort it into real words and fake words. And you can have that discussion then about what's a real word? How do you know it's real? Because you know what a dog is, but what's a vog? You don't know what a vog is. So you can play that game with them. And then just reading tricky words, CVC words, and then making them out of magnetic letters. You can decorate your fridge with them. And then there's just another activity of fishing for words. So you could have it in the bath, or you could put them on some toys and on cars or anything like that. And you can say, okay, go and hunt and find me the cat, or go and hunt and find me the tricky word the, and then play a little game with them that way. All these count as reading activities, so therefore the children are still developing their skills. They don't have to just be sat and reading their reading book. We would, as I said, we would love for you to read the book every single day, but if it's getting, if you just need to have a little bit of a change up, you can do other activities to support your child's reading. So I know that's very quick, but that is just a quick insight to FS2 and reading and some reading tips. If you have any other questions, please feel free to email myself or your class teacher, who will be able to give you a little bit more information about what works best for your child in the class. But I really do hope that helps and supports your child's reading at home. Thank you very much, everyone.